This week's Tech Today show is a special one, and I will tell you exactly why. It's a deep exploration into the drone ecosystem of India. Now, when you talk about defense drones, they are not just a support system in the air. They are turning into force multipliers, and we are seeing an example of that in the conflict in West of Asia, which is why I believe that it's important for every country to have its own drone ecosystem, and we will try to explore that with a drone startup that is operating out of Bangalore here. Plus, what is happening with commercial robots? How are they getting smarter and how are they helping the industry evolve is also another story we will try to see, because these robots are getting more intelligent with this new technology. Lots to unpack on this week's Tech Today with me, Cyrus. So I'm trying to look at the bigger picture over here. Right now, we are trying to get Predator drones from the United States. Now, each unit costs about 800 crore. And that's almost the amount of money that if you put into the Indian ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, you'll be able to fund it for the next 5 years. So that's a lot of money. So it forces me to think, what if I take that money and invest it in India, develop and make everything right here?
These are the drones we are looking at now, the MQ-9B SkyGuardian. It can fly from Mumbai to London without refueling. It can see a man's face from 25,000 feet. In the business of watching borders, there is almost nothing better. But here's the uncomfortable detail. We are the nation that runs the world's back office. We write the code for Silicon Valley, we staff the data centers for Frankfurt and Austin, and yet, when it comes to the machines guarding our own borders, we are still window shopping in Washington.
So the idea is clear. We have the brains in this country to make it here. So why are we still depending on alien technology? And that's exactly why what we are trying to find out in our big tech story, the war economics of it all, and how is India propelling forward in the same direction.
Something changed in the last 3 years. If you've been watching the conflict zones, the Black Sea, the Red Sea, the skies above Gaza, you've seen it happen in real time.
Just from 2020 to 2025, drones have become one of the principal offensive platforms. Whether you look at the Russia-Ukraine war or the Israel-US war, it's all about drones. And drones have been evolving through this warfare. You first saw, operator in the loop drones, operators launching drones, and now in 2026, we are seeing the first examples of autonomous drones powered by AI systems, which are taking intelligent decisions. They're acting on their own, they're attacking targets on their own. This is literally the future of warfare, which is intelligent thinking machines fighting these wars autonomously. So this is very clearly the era of drones has arrived in a very big way.
An Iranian-made drone costs roughly $20,000 to build. Shooting it down can require a missile worth $2 million. That's the new math of modern warfare. Cheap distribution forces expensive defense. And the more this logic takes hold, the more drones matter as intelligence surveillance and the nervous system of a modern military. More eyes in the sky, fewer boots on the ground. And if $240 million drones are crashing these days, it makes sense to make it cheaper, doesn't it? But here's the trap. When you buy someone else's drone, you're buying into their ecosystem. Their spare parts, their software updates, and sometimes quietly buried in the fine print of diplomatic agreements, their permission to actually use what you paid for. That's how arms deals begin. And it means the sky above your border might be watched by eyes with a foreign address. Take for example what happened with the surveillance industry in India. All CCTVs that come embedded with Chinese components have been taken out of production line as they pose a threat to national security. Similarly, drone manufacturers in India have been instructed to omit Chinese hardware and chips, a good move to promote indigenous products at scale. To be fair, we tried to build our own way out of this, but one thing or the other always came in the way.
There is a certain limitation that I see with respect to altitudes, ranges and payloads. For example, we have a lot of multi-drone players in India who are doing phenomenally good. But again, we somewhere in our ecosystem miss these long-range platforms, like what we have Shahed 136 from Iran. I mean, we have been using Harope and Harpi, even Op Sindoor, we have used them to dismantle the air defense grid in Lahore. But one such system has to be also developed in India. While many players have started the programs, but it looks, as if another 3 to 4 years we might have to wait.
For nearly a decade, India's defense was looking up to Tapas, DRDO's homegrown predator, the poster child for Atmanirbhar Bharat for defense. And it was a failure of ambition. The engineers worked hard, but the requirements were unforgiving. 30,000 feet altitude, 20 hours in the air. Tapas topped out at 28,000 feet and 18 hours. In the Himalayas, those missing 2,000 feet are crucial to watch the enemy move and be invisible to them. In high altitude warfare, it means the difference between seeing and being seen. Tapas has now been reclassified as a technology demonstrator, which is a polite bureaucratic way of saying it won't fly in a real conflict. The dream was real, but the timeline wasn't. While a private startup can redesign a wing in 6 months, a state-run project can spend years in committee before changing a bolt. Like this assembly line here at this facility. Looks bare bones, but even then, it's been able to create these attack drones that have successfully passed several demos and trials. But that wasn't enough to appease the stakeholders.
So to truly see whether India can really compete, we went beyond the government labs and have come here in Bangalore to a startup that is making drones not only for India but also for the world to see how capable we really are.
While the headlines chase high-altitude imports, the Indian drone startup ecosystem is quietly doing something harder, building India's first military-grade bomber UAV from the ground up.
We have been into 4 different domains. One is this low-cost interceptors. We have been working on this from 2022, in fact. And we have been in constant touch with air defense. And we have been showing a lot of demos and for a period of time from development of prototype to the hitting of the targets even in the starlight, then in the pitch dark. So we have succeeded that, and we have given a lot of demonstrations as well, successful trials. And on the other part, we have male UAVs that you're seeing right behind us. So we have a small, medium variant, light variant, and then a heavy variant as well. Light variant is designed for Army, which again has gone through a lot of demonstrations and field evaluations. Recently, we have also got an achievement in taking off less than 60 meters and landing in less than 120 meters, navigating through a gust more than 25 knots.
The FWD-200B1, 15,000 foot ceiling, 24 hours of endurance, a range of 2,000 kilometers, more ground covered than any domestically built drone before it. And this is just one of the things that is being made here. We got to the floor where they are doing it. Proprietary carbon fiber molding, AI-assisted targeting, flight controllers designed and written entirely in-house. No foreign code in the cockpit. No outsourced brain. While the assembly line might not look as high-tech, understand that these companies aren't making at scale right now. Before claiming recognition, these prototypes and concepts need to prove their mettle only because the security of the nation is at stake. By focusing on indigenous tech, these startups are removing the foreign soul from our defense platforms. Their testing shows that Indian startups can achieve high-tier tactical results at a fraction of the cost of Western imports, ensuring every circuit is made in India and every byte of data stays on Indian servers. Because if you can build a drone tough enough for the Himalayas, you can build it for anyone.
In India, we don't have low Earth orbit communication infrastructure. Okay. So when we don't have that communication infrastructure, we definitely have to go on Iridium or say Inmarsat or any other US satellites like Starlink, etc., etc. But now tell me, a system that has been on other satellite, though they say there is an encryption box, जो ताला बनाता है उसके पास चाबी नहीं होता है क्या? तो all your operations become compromised. Okay. I mean, we are choosing efficiency over security. Right. That's going to hurt us very bad in coming days.
And let's be honest about what really is at stake over here, because it goes beyond the balance sheet. A drone is a collection of decisions made by whoever wrote the code, designed its sensors, and controls its software. If that person works in a lab in California or Tel Aviv, then no matter how many Indian hands assembled it, the soul of the aircraft isn't entirely ours. And the risks are not theoretical. Snooping, reconnaissance footage beamed from your border, mirrored onto a foreign server you have no visibility into. Kill switches, a remote command from halfway across the world that grounds your entire fleet the moment a diplomatic relationship sours. Maintenance lock-in, one denied spare part, and an 800 crore machine becomes very expensive scrap.
All these are very real questions, but also there is, I would say, serious amount of localization, industrialization, which is happening in the system. There are communication protocols, there are chipsets which are being considered by the government to be localized. Again, it is not an overnight process which can happen. You cannot just put a chipset and start manufacturing in India. You need to change the mindset, which the government is doing.
When we build here, the money stays here, the intellectual property stays here, the engineers, the ones who know how these systems work, who can fix them in the field, who can improve them under pressure, they all stay here. And that's exactly what companies like Flying Wedge are trying to do. Master the economic drone game and give India the upper edge in air combat. But beyond the hardware, you also need to make the software in India.
Today you see Rafale, I mean, we are taking the jets, but French, they have denied the source code. That's the importance of the code, that we definitely has to have. Because once the code is not in place, I mean, if the code is in place, you can play around with your aircraft. Yeah, customize it, a lot of security protocols on it, and that's where you will be generally denied, and you can produce that here.
Every rupee of the defense budget that funds domestic R&D is a rupee that builds the next generation of Indian engineers, not the next quarterly report of a foreign defense contractor. That needs to change, and we are slowly moving in that direction. The push needs to come from the government, and they need to seriously consider developing drones in India before it's too late.
So this was a glimpse of the India drone story and where we really are. Remember, if we have to garner success, we need to start making over here and be really serious about it. And it's just not the hardware, it's also the software. The entire tech stack and ecosystem needs to be made in India. Yes, for the short term, we can get drones from outside, we can get the tech, but in the longer run, we need to make sure that the Indian drones really stack up to become dominant across the globe, and that's exactly what we try to show you. And let us know what you feel about this story, and if you really feel that the Indian drone ecosystem will fly high in the future. Over the years, we have seen robots do incredible things, and they've evolved so quickly that they are being embedded into industries across the world. However, the one problem that they still face is understanding objects in the real world, and that's exactly why we are here in Bangalore at a startup that is trying to solve this problem, giving robots the intelligence to understand objects and react. Let's find out what the story is all about.
Because the real world is messy, unpredictable, and constantly changing. And that's where a startup like Sinla is trying to change that by building robots that don't just follow instructions but actually are smart enough to figure things out. Today, most industrial robots work in controlled environments, repeating the same tasks over and over again. The moment you introduce something new, a different shape, a reflective surface, or even a slight variation, they all fail. That's because robots don't really understand objects. They are trained for them, and that training can take weeks, sometimes months. So the big question here is, what if robots didn't need training at all? What if they could learn on the go like humans?
Alright, now it's time for one of the most exciting parts of this segment, and that is a demonstration. All that we have seen, all that we have talked about means nothing until and unless we see the machines in action, which is why we have a robot over here that is going to demonstrate of how this entire technology works, not just on the software side, but on the hardware side. Let's take a look.
What Sinla has built is something called object intelligence. A system that allows robots to analyze and interact with completely unknown objects in real time. Instead of relying on massive datasets, the robot studies the object's shape, texture, and reflectivity and then learns how to handle it. And all of this within seconds. In many cases, that learning happens in just 10 to 15 seconds, compared to months of training in traditional robotics. So this robot isn't remembering, it's reasoning. Something rare in the field of robotics right now. At the heart of this system is a vision and perception engine that breaks down an object into geometry, texture, and possible grip points. Almost like how a human brain processes what it sees. Every attempt the robot makes becomes a learning step, meaning it improves instantly without being sent back for retraining, all happening real time. As for the hardware, most of what you see is the result of a global collaboration. France, China, Israel, almost 16 countries supply the components to make this machine, with many of the mechanicals sourced locally. The logic is simple. If you're making robots for the world, it needs to be compatible with global standards.
So this can be, in a way, an example of physical AI, machines reacting in the real world. And we've seen global players trying to perfect this technology, this intelligence. But the hearty sign of all of this is to see this tech happening in India, which just makes things really interesting.
Globally, robotics is at a turning point. For the last 50 years, automation has been about control with focus on fixed environments, fixed tasks, and fixed outcomes. But industries today, from e-commerce warehouses to semiconductor manufacturing, are dealing with constant variation. And that's something traditional robots simply cannot handle. That is exactly where a company like Sinla's technology could change all of that, helping robots adapt to real-world complexity. The idea is simple here. Instead of building factories around robots, build robots that fit into our world.
Let's say I put the robot in an assembly line. If the wire comes in a different orientation, the robot must have been trained to handle that prior to it, right? A robot, and if it looks very unfamiliar to the way it was trained, the robot becomes blind to that situation and stalls. That's the ability that we are bringing to the robot. A human being, even though if it looks unfamiliar, you'll still go grab it, look around to see where it is actually familiar. Then from there you perform your pre-trained task or whatever you anticipated task. That ability is absent for robots today.
And we feel that focus should also be on building core robotics intelligence, not just assembling systems, but creating the underlying brain. Sinla just doesn't make the hardware, it also makes the software that makes these machines work. One ecosystem for a dynamic workflow.
Because making robots work in a real lab like this is different compared to like deploying them in the real world at scale. And there are questions around cost efficiency and also real world deployment that we need to address.
We are right now at the pilot stage. We are taking to the plants and then we are trying to test for a continuous operation and so and so. And it will take another 1 year to 1.5 years for us to kind of get it into a full production line where the customer develops confidence that next million cycles it's not going to fail. Right, and you don't need human intervention, so you have a 3 sigma requirement and so on. So we have a functional proof at this point. The next is going to be a process proof that it is sustainable and will work continuously without any error.
So if this technology works, it could unlock something robotics has been chasing for decades. Machines that are actually intelligent and being made here in India.
It's an opportunity for a country like India to kind of take the effort back to our country that instead of people, it could be through machines. Right? So I think that will be one of the prominent ones to adopt the earliest. There could be very interesting emerging other opportunities. It could be in your recycling, especially repair economy, recycle economy to a good extent where the value addition could happen. Apart from that, it will also be semiconductor, semiconductor manufacturing and gadget assembly per se, mobile phone and white goods assembly.
And the story doesn't end here. As adoption for this tech rises, we will see applications rise as well. Today, it's robotic arms trying to screw bolts into car doors on factory assembly lines. Tomorrow, it could be robots working in essential services and even manufacturing or others.
Robots have a different set of ability. If you want to successfully, economically viably able to adopt robots for automation, we may have to rethink the process that suits the robots, where they are strong and where they are weak, right? We have built Poke-OK and all of that, right? That comes because human beings have a tendency to confuse. Robots don't have that confusion, right? So that is not applicable here. So that there is this process transformation that has to happen. So if you do that, you will be much faster in adopting robots than the way we are going today to adopt it. The pace will change.
So, Sinla is trying to solve a major problem, giving robots the intelligence they don't have right now and turning them from tools that follow commands into machines that actually understand them.
You see me, I'm just overjoyed when I'm seeing myself around technology, and that's exactly what I'm trying to show you, what the future is going to be like as robots evolve. And the one thing that I wanted to highlight in this, yes, robots are fast, they are efficient, but now they are getting smarter. And what we showed you today is a glimpse of how the entire dynamics around robotics is going to change, because now they're able to understand objects. And soon, maybe in the future, that person sitting beside you at work could be one of these. So that's a wrap for this edition of the Tech Today Show. I just loved getting you this episode. There was so much to see and an exploration, a deep dive into the drone ecosystem of India, which is evolving and also making for the world. And I'm sure with more support, it will become something just out of this world. And also, smarter robots, that is another different story. And the way it's evolving, the way the whole robotics infrastructure in India is really breaking strides, I think Indian robotics is going to be something that the world will talk about in the future. And as for this episode, I think it's all the time that we have, but we'll be back next week with more tech and maybe in a different city. But till then, I'll catch you later. Bye.